So when I was growing up, I had a friend. His name's Ben. He was obviously always bigger than everybody else. We knew he was going to play football eventually, but we didn't expect to be at the level he's at. So I didn't see him since high school. So it was about 3 years ago, and we caught up over winter break, and I found out he's playing football at Boston College, which is it's a pretty big football school, but it's not the highest level. So I didn't expect anything crazy. And he was telling me about his everyday life, and he's not really like an actual student. He wakes up at 6 a.m. to go lift, then he goes to class straight from 8 to 1, and then practice 2 to 6, and then off to study hall, and sometimes even conditioning. So it takes up the entire day for him just to play football and represent that school. You should listen to this because it affects young adults in our country, and it's a real problem that's really trying to be changed. I wouldn't say this if these sports weren't making a lot of money, but they're serious money. Last year, Alabama football, just the football program alone, actually broke their record and made $177 million in revenue. Today in the speech, I'm going to convince you why high-level football and basketball college athletes should be paid for their services by discussing the problem of the athletes making the money for the school, not even the program, let alone themselves, the cause of this problem, a solution that I think could work, and how the opposition feels. First is the problem. These athletes put in time, as I mentioned with Ben, but the NCAA rule states that you're only allowed 20 hours of practice, 4 hours a day, per week. But in 2015, there was a lawsuit against the University of North Carolina. Everyone knows it's a big sports school, obviously. Football players sued the school and the NCAA that they were being deprived of their education. It turns out they weren't able to pick their major. They were turned away from classes that they liked because it interfered with practice. The average FBS football, FBS is like the higher level. There's FBS and FCS. Based on a student athlete self-report, the average team practices 43 hours per week, which is obviously double what you're supposed to. Not always practice, but lifts and everything, which is all supposed to be included. Basketball, everyone thinks basketball season is just in the winter, but it actually goes all year long, and the student athletes actually only go home for a month, and they're back working out in the summer, on campus, living on their own. So my point being made is that the seasons never end. It's not like just football in the fall, baseball in the spring, basketball in the winter. And there's a lot of revenue being made through these sports. For example, the average SEC school, not the top, not the bottom, just right in the middle, makes $25 million per season just based off their TV deal with SEC Network. And then you bring in the attendance. Most stadiums hold about 80,000 people. Students go free, obviously, but a lot of people pay. Basketball venues are obviously a lot smaller, but the games are a lot bigger. So Duke UNC, it's one of the biggest rivalries in sports. The cheapest ticket in the house was $2,500, and the average ticket went for about $10,000 on StubHub, and the players received obviously nothing for this. The cause of this problem is obviously through the NCAA and the schools themselves. They want to protect your amateurism. The NCAA rules in 2019 say that you cannot accept payment or promise of payments for participation in your sport, and you cannot receive any benefit that is not available to other students at the university. The NCAA also sees all levels of Division I as equal. So they see Monmouth University, their sports programs, the same as Clemson University, which obviously anybody that can read between the lines knows that that's just not true. So a solution for this problem, there's a lot of people have a lot of different solutions, but if colleges can't pay the athletes themselves, maybe just the fans can. So my idea was to add up the revenue made from ticket sales, team gear, and TV deals, which is all player-based. That's the people that are buying that are for the players, not for the school, obviously. Cut out a percentage, small percentage, obviously, and distribute it to the players equally. I mean, it has to be small because they make so much money, so you don't need that much of it. And if you split it evenly, you can't say that there can't be a problem like, oh, this school gets way more money, because it's based off how much they make. So one school can't argue, it's based strictly off the revenue. The opposition, who's the opposition? It's going to be the NCAA once again, and the schools, they would oppose. They say that the scholarship is their pay, but I would argue that by saying, I don't mean to bring up Alabama again, but the average cost of school there is $45,000 a year for 4 years. Most of them don't even graduate, but let's say they do. That's still $180,000, and in 1 year the program made $177 million, and it's probably going to go up next year. The schools came out and said that they're not employees, so they don't deserve to get paid like employees. But Robert McCormick, he was actually the attorney for National Labor Relations Board under President Jimmy Carter. He said there are more demands put on these young men than any employee of any university. In conclusion, the problem is that these athletes aren't being paid for their services. They're not making any money off what they're doing. All the time they're putting in, it's not equal to the value of their scholarship. If they're even on scholarship, there's a lot of athletes that aren't. The cause of this problem is obviously the NCAA, and I believe that there's a solution by adding up the revenue and basing that, how much they get paid off the revenue. And there's some misunderstandings in the opposition. They think that the scholarship covers it, but obviously I disagree, and a lot of people that can see the revenue being made and compared to the cost of the scholarship could see that too. So when I look back and I think of talking to Ben, like they say he can't take anything that an average student can't take, but I don't see Ben as an average student when he's putting 10, 12 hours a day in to represent that school and he makes a lot of money for that school. Thank you. Any questions? Lizzie?
So you're basically saying men's sports should be getting paid. You didn't mention any girls.
I used examples from men's, but when I said the revenue based off like
How
that
much they
program, yeah. So the women's basketball team, like at UConn, obviously they make a lot of money, so it'd be the same concept.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Well, there was a lawsuit back in 2012 from EA Sports when college athletes sued.
Yeah, for using their last name. So what they did is they took away the last names, but I was actually arguing with Justin before. He was saying that there shouldn't be an argument if they don't have their name, but
You have your likeness.
yeah, I mean, when you buy, for example, Johnny Manziel, when you buy his Texas A&M football jersey, you're buying number 2 because Johnny Manziel. You know, and that was one of the most popular jerseys, but he didn't get a single dollar for it.